Hey guys, what's going on? I'm so excited to bring to you a video today of one of my absolute favorites. I want everybody to meet Mech. He is a client in the coaching program. Mech has had a pretty incredible journey. He already has four properties that he owns, and it's happened in an incredibly short amount of time. Guys, welcome Mech, and Mech, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, um, I'm excited, right? I'm so excited just finally being able to share my story with everybody and just having the opportunity to kind of talk to you one on one, considering where our relationship started from, contacting you from the first time till now, everything has been, you know, um, good. Everything has been good.
So, Mech,
Yeah.
so we started communicating a couple of years ago, and you kind of were watching the stuff on YouTube, weren't really sure if Section 8 real estate investing is what you wanted to get into, right? But eventually, as you continued to watch, as you continued to get a grasp of the material, you realized, well, maybe I do want to do this. Maybe this is what I want to do.
Yeah. I before we started this interview, I just went back to, try and get some dates, so that I can put everything into context for, whoever is watching, whoever is thinking of getting started. So, um, I have always been interested in real estate. So my um, first thing doing in real estate was that, I live in Texas. And the first thing I did was I got a real estate license to see if I could kind of just do real estate, local in Houston. And, I tried to do that for a while, sold a couple of houses. And I was gravitating more towards the investment side of real estate, like getting long-term rentals, you know, fix and flips and all of that. However, the Houston market wasn't just good for me because number one, the price point was kind of high in Houston. Like the low end houses start from like 200K. And when I was starting out, I did not have that kind of money to invest in like a property that was like 200K. So I went on the internet, started searching, started looking for how can I do this, and for some reason I just bumped into Section 8, and went on YouTube, went on YouTube University. And I was just watching a couple of videos, and on YouTube you see a lot of people talking about Section 8, and the next thing they talk about a course, and I was skeptical, like, the same thing again, you need to get a course. And I found you, and I found your videos. So I started watching your videos, and I was like, okay, this is resonating with me a little bit. And me being the investigative type of guy, the first thing I did was to, I got your name, put your name on Google, and I found out that you were into baseball. You played baseball for a couple of years. I say, okay, rate is actually legit. Let me go with rate. And on October 21st or 27th, 2021, I sent you that email. I sent you that email saying, hey, I just watched your video. I liked everything you were talking about. What does it take to kind of work with you? And you responded to me, I think immediately, and you told me, hey, you have a coaching program. This is what it entails. This is what you're gonna get, and all the good stuff. And we went back and forth, for a couple of weeks, and I finally pulled the trigger January 27th, 2022. So yeah, that's how our relationship started, and it was one of the relationships I really really needed to get
Right.
started.
And
Yeah.
Mac, so we communicated for a couple months before you really took the dive and got started. And then the crazy thing about your journey was sometimes people join the program and it's boom, it's property, 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 and you're just in, you have properties everywhere, and it's hard to get your feet underneath you. You, on the other hand, were probably on the other complete polar other side of that spectrum, right? We started in January 2022, and it took months and months to get you that first property because we just kept running into some crazy bad luck. Why don't you tell everybody kind of some of the things that we ran into?
Yeah, awesome. So we started January. I have all my numbers on my screen. We started January 26th to be specific. And you and I had our first call January 27th. That call, where you kind of talked about, mindset, talked about expectations, talked about what the program is going what I should expect from the program. And we also talked about, you gave me how to search for property, how to start looking for properties, and when I get properties, what I should do, how I should handle it, and all that good stuff. So, after the call, I got to work. Went and started searching for property. And I think February 7th, which is like, 2 weeks after, I had like 6 or 7 properties I sent over to you for you to just have like a quick look at the properties. I think we had like 6 properties. And out of those 6 properties, we made offers on 2 of those properties. So, everything looked so good. In my mind, I was happy. I've made offers on 2 properties. I was saying, hey, in a month's time, I'm gonna be a landlord, start getting rent, all the good stuff, all the good things. One thing I failed to realize is that for every upside, there's always a downside, right? So I wasn't looking at the downside. Everything was gonna be, hey, to the moon and all that good stuff.
Right.
And we made those offers, and everything was going well. My real estate agent, which you introduced me to, made all the offers, did everything right, and our offer was in, and we're waiting. Um, we went like 60% of the transaction. When I mean 60%, we've gone through all the signing the contract and all those things. I've got my lending ready, my finance was ready, everything was ready. And the next thing, boom, we hear back from the title company. Oh, the properties have title issue. Like, it had so many title issues. And I was like, I sent you a message. Hey, the property has title issues. What can we do? You now ask me like, what the specific issue with the title? And I explained to you, I think there's a lien on the property, there's this, there's that, and that. And you told me, hey, there's some title properties we can clear out, and there's some title properties we should just raise our hands and go away. For this one, you told me, hey, let's see, because we got the property at a very, very good price. So you told me, let's see how we can, do something for the quick claim deed. And the quick claim deed will involve lawyers from the seller, and they need to do this and that. But the other property, the title was bad. He just told me to back up on the deal. So I had just one deal, right? So
So
waiting for
two
the title.
properties and 2 bad titles.
2 properties and two bad titles at the same time.
Crazy.
I remember our conversation. You were like, Mac, this has never happened. Like, this is one of those situations that you have to take note of in your history of real estate, right? So, um, so the second property that we're waiting for the title, I think we waited for like 2, 3 months, and after that, the seller came back and said, hey, they can't clear the title and whatever, and those 2 deals were gone. So those
Right.
are the first 2 deals.
Right. But what did you do? I remember getting a phone call from you, and you said, you know what, Rhett? The first 2, they didn't go the way that I had hoped. We stuck it out and we got them for crazy prices, which is why we wanted to make sure and see if the lawyers could figure out those title issues. They would have been amazing deals. They couldn't do it. After a couple months of waiting, we hit the drawing board again. You got right down to business. And that was in August, right? So months. And then you closed on your first property August 31st. We are now in January. So it's been about 4 full months, and you have 4 properties.
Yeah, yeah.
How about that? We go
Yeah,
months with nothing, and
yeah.
then all of a sudden, just a tidal wave of everything at once. What has that been like for you? And what have been some of the biggest things, Mech, that you have learned throughout that process?
Awesome. After we went through like the 2 properties that had the title issue, um, I reached out to you again and we had like a session on mindset again, just recalibrating, what I need to do. You told me that I shouldn't lose momentum. I should keep the train going. Keep the train going means still go on Zillow, still go on, all the websites you're looking for properties. Just keep on looking for properties and just sending them my way. So I kept on doing that. And one lesson here before I get to all the properties I got was in real estate investing, it's a marathon. It's going to be long. It's going to be you're going to run for you're going to be running and running and running and running. So it's not like a 100-meter race that you just run, boom, you're at the end. No, if you think about it that way, you're going to crash and burn really early. So, but if you think about it, like when you're starting out and you think about it, hey, I'm going to be running for a long time. So when you're running and you reach a bottleneck, you know that, hey, I just got to one bottleneck. I need to keep on running. So that's the first lesson I learned that this is a marathon. This is something I want to do in my lifetime,
Right.
right? So it's something I want to do in my lifetime. So 1 year, 6 months is not really going to be, it's not really going to slow me down because I still have 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to be in the game. So that was the first lesson I learned really early. So, after all the issues with the title, we kept on going. And August, you know, put in, I think the beginning of August, I put in the contract for the property, for my first property. And, everything was going well. But at the back of my mind, I was like, man, hopefully this doesn't have any title issue again. Back of my mind, I was saying, hopefully this doesn't have any title issue again. And, everything was going well. And boom, the title came back. The title was clean. I was like, yeah, I got this. yeah, yeah. So the title was clean. And now the next thing was we went to the appraisal. The banks did the appraisal. The appraisal came back. The numbers looked good. It wasn't like crazy, but it was good. And everything was going. The title company gave us a closing date. And boom, that date came 26th of August, we closed on the property, right? And I think I got the deed of that property on like the 30th. So once the deed was in my hand, I said, boom, I have a property.
And then
My first,
So,
yeah,
so Mac, absolutely. And I love what you said about the marathon versus the sprint, because in today's society, everybody wants to get rich quick. Nobody wants to actually work over the long term to get what they want. And you have been through the ringer on this, right? You had months where things weren't going your way, and then a
yeah,
couple months where things did go your way.
yeah,
And I know we talk about a marathon, but in 5 months, you have 4 properties.
yeah,
That's crazy fast,
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's not because you've been trying to get them as fast as you can. You have thought, okay, I'm going to do this over the long term. Because that has been your mindset. In the last 5 months, you've been able to add almost 1 property per month,
yeah.
right? And how many people do you know, Mac, that have 4 rental properties?
Nobody. Oh no, I know one person. I know one person.
One person.
You. Yeah.
Right, right, exactly. So you think about that, right? Where you and I have been working together for almost a year now. If you had said, hey, Rhett and I have been together for almost a year, I have 4 properties, people would be like, wow, that's incredible. But in reality, you didn't even close on your first one till the end of August. We should just be looking at September
Yeah.
to December.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mac, I know a lot of people are going to be interested in kind of the numbers behind the properties that you have. So,
Okay.
before this call, I went through, I looked at all your properties, all the numbers and everything. So, the first property that you bought, you purchased it for 85,000, and correct me if I'm wrong on anything, okay? 85,000. The rehab was 15. And what is that unit bringing in rent?
So that unit got it for 85K. I just want to put more details
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
transaction. So bought it for 85K. The appraisal came back at I think like 89K, 90K. And we put in 15K for the repairs. So like for you know, your audience might be wondering, hey, what did they repair in the house? So I'll just give them like a high level. Like we put in new roof, we put in carpets in the whole house. I think that house is like 1,600 square foot. So we put in carpets in the whole house, and we changed some doors, and we did all that good stuff. And right now that property is bringing in 1060 a month.
Awesome. And that's 100% guaranteed by Section 8.
Yeah, 100% guaranteed by Section 8. So the tenant pays, I think the tenant pays, I think like 200 and something dollars, and Section 8 pays the remaining.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
So then after we onboarded that one, another one fell into your lap,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
one, ironically, was a property that I used to own
yeah,
years ago. You bought that for 63,000. You put 25K into it, and we have a tenant lined up there right now,
yeah,
pending inspection. We have an inspection
yeah.
schedule. And
1150.
yep. And what is the rent on that unit?
So just putting more details into
Yeah.
into that transaction. So I got it for 63K, as you've said. We put in 25K for repairs. And now the estimate on that property is like 120 something K, 120 something K. And um, and we have a tenant lined up. So the tenant should have gone in before the holidays, but Section 8 had to close for like the holidays. And because the process is that, I don't know if anybody knows about the process watching you, but when you get a tenant and the tenant comes to the property, the property manager or us, we need to submit information back to the housing authority to get that person approved for that particular house. So that process, there's a process there. So it's not like, people should not be thinking like, hey, once you get a Section 8 tenant, the person is coming in the next day. No, there's a process which you also need to factor into your numbers, the time span it takes. Right now we're in that process. We already have the tenant. The tenant is already lined up. Her voucher is good to go. We're just waiting for the Section 8 guys to come to the property and just make sure everything is good. But that tenant's already lined up for 1150 a month.
1150.
Yeah,
So right there, we're already at, well, almost 2,300 just
yeah,
for those first two. And
yeah,
then you said, that's not enough.
yeah,
Another one. So then we did something a little different. We took on a property that was a lot cheaper than all the other ones with a significantly higher rehab,
yeah,
right? So you bought that house, your next house for 42,000,
yeah, yeah,
42,000 in 2022, right? The
yeah,
end of 2022.
yeah,
Next, people all the time they say, Rhett, this is a bunch of BS. You can't
yeah,
buy houses for this cheap. 42,000, you put in 36, right? We're getting a ton of interest on that house right now,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we'll have a renter in there by the end of this month.
Yeah, so that property got it for, as you said, we got it for 42K. We put in 36K into that property, and whoever saw the property before and after, maybe Rick, maybe that's something you need to start. You need to put in before
I will.
and after.
I'm gonna put pictures up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, you put it before and after, because if you saw that property before and after, you'll be like, wow, like the transformation was there. And in everything I'm doing with you, we've said it in our conversation so many times. It's not really about trying to make as much money, like um off the bat, like, because if you go back to the initial thing I said, that this is a marathon, right? If you have that mindset that this is a marathon, then you also have that mindset that you try and make the houses good for the family that is going to stay there. It's not about trying to, like, if there's a door that is bad, some other people will just say, just paint it, just make it look. No, we actually change the door so that whoever is staying in that property, let's say she has a kid, and the kid is opening the door should open well, right? The carpet should smell well, the walls should look well, the kitchen should, everything should work well for the tenant, regardless of if it's Section 8, regardless of whatever it is. At the end of the day, we're dealing with human beings that some of them are going through hard times, right? So we need to make sure that, personally, this is me personally, and I know you share the same thing in your head, saying that, taking care of whoever is going to stay in the property is the number one priority, right? So that's how I think about it. So the third property, we put in 36K to fix it up. And that property, from the interest we're seeing, that property should rent between 1060 and 1150. So between 1060 and 1150,
So that's
which
gonna
is
put
awesome.
you almost at 3,400 a month,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you've added 3,400 a month in 4 months.
yeah,
Okay. And then you still weren't done.
yeah.
You said, let's do another one. But the difference in this one, Mech, and what I love about the strategy that we've used together is we've acquired homes in totally different ways every single time. We've used financing, we've used cash, we've bought vacant homes. And then the only thing you hadn't done yet was buy a property that is already occupied, Section 8, cash flowing.
Yes,
So what you did was, on your fourth house, you bought a property for 78,000, correct?
yes,
You put in 6,000. That's it.
yes, yes.
It's already cash flowing at
Yeah,
900 a month,
100 per, yeah,
guaranteed.
yeah,
And we're gonna move here in the next month or two for a
yeah,
rental increase to
yeah,
bring that up to about 12 or 1,300 a month.
yeah. Um, So a quick lesson before I talk about, because I'm dropping the lessons as we're going along, right? A quick
Yeah.
lesson about this real estate business is that relationship matters, right? And I've been working with you for, you said a year. It's more than a year. It's like a year, 3 months now. You know, so I think our relationship is building up to, because it's the last property. You brought it to me. You actually sent me the property and say, "Hey, Meg, have a look at this." And I had a look at it. The numbers made sense because I have a spreadsheet that I use to calculate numbers, like quickly. Once I put in the price I want to pay, the spreadsheet spits out potentials. If I put a rent of 900, 1,000, 1,100, 1,200, it gives me cash flow. It gives me cap rate. It gives me cash on cash. I already have all my expenses in the spreadsheet. So, like property management is 10% of the rent figure. Because of the relationship I've built with the insurance agent who referred to me, I have an estimate of, what a house of 50, 60K is gonna cost me insurance wise. So I know what to put for my insurance. I know what to put for the taxes. I know what to put for my reserves. I know what to. So I have some numbers that are, kind of consistent between all the properties, right? So, you send me that property, you send me the price, I put in my spreadsheet, it made sense. I, told out my real estate agent, put in a contract was accepted, moving on as fast as possible. But the great thing about this last deal was the appraisal. The great thing about this last deal was the appraisal. Um, got the property for 78K. The appraisal came back at 105,000. So I've not done anything. I've not done anything, and I already have at least, 27K in that property. So
So
yeah,
man,
that's
you,
awesome.
you've had you bought the house, you're into the house for extremely minimal out of pocket, right? Because you
Yeah,
used
yeah,
financing on this
yeah.
house. It's
Mm-hmm,
already cash flowing. We
mm-hmm.
don't have to wait. Um, we're talking about a property where everything's already been done for us. We just
Yes.
found the right tenant for us to buy, right? The
Yeah,
right unit for us to buy with the tenant that fits what we're looking for. So we buy a house, you immediately go in. We're going to take care of all the things that the previous landlord didn't to make that tenant's experience better, to make her life easier, right? To give her more peace of mind. And then you are immediately rewarded because you have almost 30,000 in equity instantly,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah,
then not only on that property, but you go back to property number two,
two. Yeah,
and we have again almost 30, 40,000 in equity there. You
yeah,
have almost 100,000 in equity. That's not even talking about house number one or house number three, which
yeah,
God only knows how much equity you have in there. So in 4 months, you have over 100,000 in equity, we'll say conservatively 100.
yeah,
Once we add this fourth house, you're going to be cash flowing about 42, 4,300 a month.
yeah.
And you've been able to do all of this really within a 4.5 month period.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's sometimes when I think about it, like the journey coming here, it's been awesome. And that's where I will talk about lesson three, because I've talked about two lessons now. Lesson three is that everybody needs a catalyst to start. You were my catalyst. Like, well, what I mean is that I was, just thinking about out of state. If you just sit down and think about it, you'll be like, so I'm gonna buy a house somewhere I've never been in. I don't know anybody there. I don't know anything about the market. It's scary, right? It's actually scary to think about it. But someone like you coming into the picture has removed that fear. Like, you coming into the picture actually, because if it wasn't for you, I like right now in my real estate journey, I don't know where I will be, right? Maybe I will still be in analysis paralysis. Okay, yeah. Maybe I'll still be there. I'll still be like, hey, is this the best property to buy? Hey, this is the best property to buy. So lesson three for anybody watching is that get somebody that is doing what you want to do, and just go with it. Like, just go with whoever is your mentor, and just follow whatever the person is telling you, especially if the person is genuine, authentic, and looking out for you the way you've looked out for me, right? So that's the third lesson I really want to kind of point out here.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Mac. And you're giving me a lot of credit, but really, you're the one that's doing it. I'm just kind of holding your hand through it. You're still the one that has the initiative to do it. And I give you a lot of credit for that because it didn't start off as easy as you thought it would be or as
Yeah.
we had hoped. But as any real estate investor knows, you have to overcome adversity at some point in this journey. You're not going to get to 50, 100, 500 houses if if at the first sign of resistance, you stop. And one thing it's my favorite part of these conversations, Mac, and people are dumbfounded by this every time. But how many times, because of course you have all these properties and you're making all this money. How many times have you been to each one of these properties?
I've never been
You've
to
never
Alabama.
been?
No, no,
Come
no.
on.
Yeah, I've never been. Actually, um, I was I was trying to plan, one weekend to just try and go there and just say, okay, I've been there. I've been there. I've seen my properties, but honestly, right now with technology and everything, you know, because I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and he was like, "You mean you've never seen these properties?" And I said, "No." And I gave him an analysis and saying, "Hey, okay, if you buy property in Houston now, are you going to be going to the property every day just to go stand outside and look at it and say, 'Hey, this is my house'? If you buy the property, you might not see that property in 2 years, 3 years if you put everything in place. So what's the difference,
Right.
right? So what's the difference? So that's the mindset I have. And but yeah, I've never been to Alabama. I don't know what the airport looks like. I don't know what anything looks like there. But I have 4 properties there. So
Amazing. And
yeah,
and, and Mac, we're going to keep growing this portfolio
yes,
and I'm really thankful you came on the channel today and are giving everybody a little insight into what you've done, how you've been able to get there. Guys, I've put a lot of Mech's properties that he has up on the channel. I will also, the ones that I have videos for, I'll drop them in the description below so you can get a look at. I'll put the links to the videos so you can see the walkthroughs. Mech, I can't thank you enough for coming on here today and hopefully inspiring some other people who were in your shoes 12 months ago to get started and actually do what they want to do and build a financial future for themselves that is way more passive than they're actually doing.
awesome. I I really appreciate the opportunities to come on your channel to just talk about my journey and talk about what I've been through and how as you said, other intending investors can start their journey and hopefully come on your channel and just talk about your story of how they went from 0 properties to whatever number of properties they want to have in whatever time. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Mac. And guys, please leave your questions, comments below. Mac, I'm sure we'll check them out and get back to you guys with any answers that you have, and I'll check in on them too. So, guys, thanks, Mac. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. Thank you.